So good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It is a holiday here in the US, and so I have the day off, and I am heading to Arcadia to go see my parents and go visit my mom, who had her foot surgery. I talked about she's doing great, but I wanted to go visit. I haven't been to Arcadia in a very long time. I haven't been to Arcadia since Hurricane Ian happened, so I'm definitely curious to see what it looks like and to go see my parents for the first time in their home for a bit. So let's go to Arcadia. So we're on the country roads driving to Arcadia, and this is not the prettiest time of year to do this drive because it's obviously winter, and you know, I know it's more green than what you're probably used to where you live. If you're not from Florida, I'm sure everything, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so green and so blue. But for us, this is kind of drab looking. They're picking strawberries. Those are all strawberry fields. Strawberries are ready to go. That's awesome. Got to look in the store and see if I can find fresh strawberries from the area. They're out picking them. They're ready to go. Love it. I'm not far out of Arcadia right now, and I was honestly expecting to see more damage already. I did see a house back there getting a new roof on it. Like the crew is there putting on the new roof right now. But I was expecting these trees to look worse than they do so far, but almost to Arcadia. Okay, so during the hurricane, all of this was underwater where I'm driving now. Some of those pictures that I was showing in the vlog, like the news crews that were here, were kind of stationed right here. That's where the water ended. And this is the campground. That was all underwater. So they were launching airboats from basically this spot. The news crews were kind of just hanging out right there, and all of this was underwater. So yeah, this whole area to my left was underwater for sure. Okay, there we go. This is underwater. This is that gas station. I was sharing aerials of this gas station being entirely underwater. The road to my right actually got washed out. They fixed it since then, but it was washed out, closed for a while. So you can see just how far away from the river we are. That's how much the river left its banks, because we're still going. We haven't even made it to the river yet. This first bridge is actually the river overflow. This bridge is there for when the river floods. Yeah, there's like a little bit of water down there right now. All of this was underwater. All of it. To the left is where Christmas Card Lane is normally. That was all underwater. There's more trees there than I was expecting, honestly. I was expecting more of them to be gone. And then this is the bridge that was also underwater. So yeah, the river went over top of this. Oh, look at the billboard. Yeah, the river was over this bridge. All of this underwater. And then it ended somewhere over here because DeSantis did his press conference like right over there by the Moose Lodge. Wild. Alright, so that house has a blue tarp on it, but honestly, I was expecting it to look a lot worse in here. It looked a lot worse in here after Charlie. Some of these trees actually look normal. I think we had a tornado during Charlie though. because the trees just got so much more damaged and everything just looked so bad. I think we had a tornado near our house during Charlie, and that's why we thought it was so bad, is because, I mean, it was bad, don't get me wrong, but I think we thought it was worse because we had a tornado. Just saying, because Charlie, it took years before it looked like this again. So I'm happy. It doesn't look as bad as I was expecting here in Arcadia. Well, look who I found. Yep. Scooting around. I like that you got brakes. And they knew. They had to put brakes on it just for you.
They didn't put any up front, so I might just go. You never know.
So I brought, we keep collecting boxes for my cousins because they're eventually gonna have to go through my aunt's house. So I keep bringing boxes for them.
Well, these are good.
Yeah. Thought that'd be good for like little knickknacks and stuff.
Yeah.
We're doing the garden tour on wheels here.
Yeah.
Too much frost. It was cold here last night. Beautiful out now. It's like 60 something degrees and sunny. Feels lovely.
Oh, that one did okay.
Good, good. That's what we like to see.
Entirely different now with the trees blew over.
Right.
Just cut them and I'm letting them grow back.
Oh yeah, they're sprouting.
And then what I'm going to do is try to keep them at about maybe my height and make a hedge out of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Instead of letting them grow back.
Yeah. Yeah, I lost your nice blockade of the other houses.
Yeah. Do you hear the hummingbird? I hear him.
I did.
Little clicky noise.
Yep.
Fussing at us around here somewhere.
It's like, hey, I wanted to get my snack.
You got one big orchid full of the flowers way back in there.
Oh, yep.
The yellow.
Yep, I'll go look.
Like tequila sunrise.
All right, let's go take an orchid peek. Everyone up north, I'm sure, is enjoying. Oh, hi, squirrel. Everyone up north, I'm sure, is enjoying this little moment of oasis. Very pretty. Oh, this one's pretty too. Red one. All the orchid babies. And I say it's Florida winter, but then I come back here and have full blooming orchids. So I know some of you from up north are like, okay, Liz, everything's just real drab. You've got a red one back there too. Yeah, like red and yellow.
Oh yeah, this is called war paint. It's been blooming for a while, so it's probably about ready to
Be done.
away. But that yellow one,
Yeah, real pretty.
I think I call it tequila sunrise.
It does.
Yeah.
Very pretty. I was saying everyone up north right now is like, oh.
Yeah, I think everything looks okay. It's
Yep.
not cold weather last night.
Yeah, didn't get too cold. And that one's pretty. Yeah, so the main thing would be these, losing these. So over on this side, they lost part of this tree.
Basically half of it.
Yeah, basically half the tree. So my dad made a sign. Ian was here. Nicole was too. So yeah, just split the tree right down the middle. That tree thinks it's spring. Your maple thinks it's spring. It looks nice and green. But yeah, just split it in half. Yeah, like what season is this? There's your Mary's plant update. Always have to do the Mary's garden tour for everyone. That's why I wore my flower and garden shirt, because I knew I was coming
I think I need one of those.
to the flower and garden festival.
If I'd never get
Here.
to wear it, 'cause it's
I know.
long sleeves.
Oh, as if you never get to wear long sleeves.
Well, rarely.
This is you we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So inside, I believe my dad is making some fajitas. I have a nice little lazy Susan for the fajitas now. So I'll show you the unveiling. But that's so great. That's perfect for taco night or fajita night. Otherwise you're all grabbing over top of each other.
Or
trying to get it all.
around.
All right, here's the grand reveal. We have the fajitas.
Where's your steps?
Exciting lunch.
Oh, they're in there?
They're there. Okay, well back out of Arcadia we go. It was fun to see my parents. And I got a bonus visitor. I got to see my friend Dan. So once I get a little further out of town, I will tell you guys that story. But here we go, back over the bridge. And let's see if I can show you how low the river is right now. There's the river now, compared to all of this being underwater. Just crazy. Crazy to think about. I'm driving home, and so I had a surprise visitor of my friend Dan came over to say hello. And I don't think I've ever fully told this story on the vlog because ultimately it ends up involving my ex-husband, so I just never really talk about it. Dan lives like around the corner from my parents. I don't think I vlogged him during Vlogmas 2021, but that was the last time I saw him, was over at Sarah's house. We had a little high school reunion over at Sarah's house with the three of us and Mike. But Dan was one of my best friends in college. We originally met in middle school. He is a year older than me. He's in the same grade as Sarah. But we met in middle school, kind of knew each other in middle school, kind of knew each other in high school, but weren't in the same friend groups or anything. Just we're aware, talked to each other because we were in, I think we were in Senate together in middle school. Nerdy middle school stuff. So Dan graduated, lost touch with them. I go to Gainesville. I think it was the beginning of my sophomore year. I'm in a history of journalism class with my friend. This guy walks in and he sits down in front of my friend Becca and I, and Becca goes, "Hey, Dan!" And he turns around to talk to her, and I'm like, that guy looks so familiar, but why do I know him? Like, I don't know why I know him. And then she says, "Oh, he works with me at Subway." And it clicked for me because Dan had always worked at Subway in Arcadia. So it made sense to me that, oh, that's why I recognize him. Like, I went to high school with him. So he just so happened to be on that first day of class wearing a shirt that was advertising for his band that was having their very first show that night. It's like one of these weird moments in my life where all of these things had to happen exactly how they happened. Otherwise, none of the rest of the events would have happened. So it's one of those pivotal moments where I feel like sometimes things happen for a reason, because that all had to perfectly happen. Where I was in the class with my friend Becca, who happened to work with him at Subway. He happened to be wearing the shirt advertising for his band, who was having their first show later that night. He turned around, he talked to Becca, he told her about the show, yada yada. It took me a while to figure out that this was Dan from high school. My brain had to work a little bit in class to get to that point. Once I put it together, like I asked her a couple questions, confirmed that he was who I thought he was. I was like, hey, I went to high school with him. Like, should we go? Because when we were in high school, he played football. He was not someone that I would ever picture being in a band. So I was like, I kind of want to go. I kind of want to see this spectacle. So Becca was like, yeah, let's go. And I was really into the music scene in Gainesville. That was what I did on my nights. Anyway, I didn't go clubbing. I didn't go to bars. I mean, technically they were bars, but I like to go see live music. I like to go see live bands. So that was my normal routine anyway. So Becca and I went to see his band's very first show. And there was a bunch of people from my high school who were there, who were all at UF, that were all his class, not mine. Because I think there were like 2 people from my class that went to UF aside from me, but there was a group of them from his year. So it was like a little mini high school reunion at the show. I was there for the very first one. And long story short, ultimately, Dana and I ended up becoming very good friends. I started going to their shows all the time because I actually ended up really liking the band. And eventually, a couple years later, I started dating the bass player from his band, and that's who ended up being my ex-husband. So that's why I don't really talk about that section of my life much, because it involves my ex, who I'm cordial with. We don't really talk, but I'm cordial with, and all that stuff. But I just don't talk about it because it's kind of weird to bring it up, because a lot of people don't even realize I had that section of my life. But for years there, Dan and I were very close. We were roommates, we were roomies for a while, and I went to all the shows once I started dating the bass player. Even before I started dating the bass player, I went to most of the shows, but then once I started dating the bass player, then I went to all their shows. We did like a whole tour through Florida. They were signed to a minor label for a very little bit of time, and I took pictures for all their shows, so I was kind of like the band photographer. So Dan and I became, like I said, we were best friends at that point. He and I, because he was a journalism major as well, we never had another class together. That was our only time ever having a class together. But because we were both journalism majors, we had very similar ways our minds worked. So he and I would essentially write songs together. So Dan was the lead singer. He wrote the lyrics. The other guys in the band wrote the music. Their main album is actually on Spotify still. I will link it down below if any of you guys want to go listen to it, from 2007. If you guys want to go listen to them. If you've watched my vlogs way back in the day, I used to use some as my intro music because it was copyright free and I had full permission to use it considering that I was married to one of the members. I will link the album down below if you guys want to go, just out of curiosity, listen to it. But I will tell you specifically, there is a song on there that one of my lyrics is specifically in the song, but the song is actually written about me. Dan wrote about me. So I will actually play that one for you because I can, because it's copyright free. So I will wrap up this story with, ultimately, the band broke up for their own reasons. They split up. My ex and I, we moved across the country. We moved to Denver. I stayed close with Dan because we were best friends, and one of the other members. We catch up from time to time. We're the type of people who will go months without talking, and then we'll spend like 4 hours talking online, just catching up with everything. But it's just fun to get to see him now because he moved back to Arcadia a few years ago because his dad was having health issues, so he moved home to help his mom. So now I'll play some Neon Carousel for you, which is written about me. About a story. Basically, I told Dan this story in email, going back and forth. We would just talk and get inspiration from stories we would tell each other. So I was telling him a story, he felt inspired by it, he wrote a song about it, and he used one of the lines that I'd written in the email as an actual lyric. Which, the line I said in the email was, I feel like I'm walking in slow motion with everyone else at full speed. And you'll hear it. He managed to fit it in the song, so here you go. That song specifically down below, and I'll link the whole album down below if you're interested in hearing the rest of the song. I'm not gonna put the entire song in this vlog because I think most people will be like, okay, fast forward. It's very nostalgic for me because it was a lot of road trips through Florida hearing those songs live. So that was a story that I have never shared before, I don't think. A new tidbits that you get in these daily vlogs that I wouldn't have had time to tell when I was doing weekly vlogs because that would have taken up way too much time. I think some of you guys are really liking the new format, which I am glad, and I'm enjoying it so far. So we're gonna keep going with it. Well, I'm back. Oh, okay. They want to tell you themselves. They say I'm back home and they're ready for dinner, but they're telling you themselves. Are you guys ready for food? Well, I'm burning the gingerbread marshmallow, trying to get rid of my final Christmas scent candle. Monday evening, I am going to turn on The Traitors from Peacock Network. If you love Survivor or Big Brother or any of those social games, highly recommend watching it. I'm about halfway through it. You can binge it because they put out all the episodes at once. It's got some Big Brother players, some Survivor players, some reality stars, and then some regular people. But if you love social strategy games that also kind of like The Mole, it's very good. It's basically the game Werewolf, if you ever played that, or Mafia, but in a reality show contest format. So I highly recommend it if you like those kinds of shows. And I'm about halfway through, so I'm gonna keep binging some of that tonight and call it a night. So with that, I'm gonna sign off, but I will see you guys again very soon.